insurance for accidentals on their property.
Yeah,
if you had insurance on the particular event
Right.
covered, that does kind of meet the requirement that we're looking for that event.
right.
And then we would want to be listed as an additional insured.
Right.
To be
Yeah, one of
identified.
the things to keep you aware of it, Susan, they do have in the minimum amounts of $1 million in commercial general liability,
Okay.
and that one they've pretty much parceled out in there. And then in regards to the potential of using the city mailing permits, I know RJ had indicated that my question was, can we do it? Can we call it tourism, bringing people downtown, and can we put that cost, if the council would be so disposed to doing, of taking $3,000, $4,000, whatever the cost is at the end of that, and do an interlocal transfer from the tourism funds that we generate through tourism revenue taxes,
Mm-hmm.
and pay that back. The take on it is, if we're mailing it to locals,
It's not
that
tourism.
doesn't work. But we could certainly, if the council chose to do it, you could certainly fund that through a transfer from general fund dollars themselves in order to do it. Now, there's still another one of putting it under the educational, the PEG fees that we have that are restricted for educational.
Informational purposes.
Right, and tying it into something else that maybe it's piggybacked onto a mailer that's done half and half. Maybe half of it's on the farmer's market, half of it's on something else that the city has in order to provide information and education to the residents, since in this case it's directed towards local residents themselves. It doesn't have that tourism
Right.
grab to it. Probably be a different thing if you targeted 5,000 mailing households over in Vancouver or somewhere else.
Sean, I'm sorry, repeat again what you said about using tourism money for this?
So,
One of my questions was, could we take, if we say that farmers markets downtown generate more people hear that type of stuff and generates some tourism, people coming from the outside to visit it,
Right.
could you take the dollar amount that the city would put through the postage meter and take it from the hotel motel tax monies and do an interfund transfer over to that and say, we can pay for it out of this,
Right.
because it's truly doing that. The offside is that the mailings that they've got here would be going to Washougal residents, so it wouldn't necessarily be going out to those outside the community to bring them in. So is that a justifiable use of those dollars, even if you should choose to do that?
So it'd be going to Washougal residents, so will any of it be going to unincorporated Washougal?
I'm not sure where you draw the line.
Yeah, and if the flyers are specifically going out to like outlining cities, like sending to Vancouver, Portland, that area, that you try and draw people in. But if it's just in the Washougal area, your bulk of your people within the city limits, that this was indicating that would be going towards, you wouldn't use tourism dollars for those people that are already here.
so is there a mileage limit or a zip code limit?
There isn't a mileage or zip code limit, but your bulk of your people that you're
Mhm.
sending this to are actually already here in the city.
Yeah, my understanding from the training, the Northwest Economic Development training course, is that hotel motel tax funds are supposed to be used for activities which would encourage an overnight stay.
Mm.
Because that's where they're being generated from.
Kind of makes sense.
So you guys need to put on a really big farmer's market.
Yeah.
I think the definition when they look at it is promotes tourism in general. It didn't, I don't remember it saying overnight stay.
Can I go back to the insurance? I had one question. You were mentioning that we had a minimum of $1 million policy. Is that in the form of events
Mhm.
insurance? Okay, that's what I thought you said.
Yeah, matter of fact.
Okay.
Here's the email that came from the
Okay.
attorney.
All right.
It's my understanding that the use of the hotel motel tax revenues is decided
by the
By that
committee,
committee.
not necessarily by the council.
Correct. So there's the amount of background that we've pretty much done on this since it came forth on.
I had a couple of questions, not really related to this city agreement, but Camas, which had a unsuccessful farmer's market on Saturday, moved it to Wednesdays and made it successful. The problem with having a farmer's market on Saturday is that ultimately you're competing with Vancouver. Have you considered moving it to a day other than Saturday?
Well, we have 5 volunteers and all of them have jobs.
Okay. I mean,
Valid.
that's,
Plus, I think it offers a little bit of variety to, in East County, to have one on Wednesday and one on Saturday still.
I wouldn't want it on Wednesday, because Camas does Wednesday, but Thursday or Friday.
But I appreciated her comments last week, and that is that there was an overflow from the Vancouver, and they don't have enough
Right.
places to send people.
They
So-
also have limited out on their applicants for Vancouver. So what we would like to do, and we're still in the process of doing, is trying to get some of those people to come here.
Is there any way that you can work with the Vancouver's Farmers Market to have them refer people to you when they do reach that limit?
We certainly can approach them, yes.
I do like the fact that you're moving it back to a farmer's market.
Right.
Called a farmer's market rather than a Main Street market. I think that's a really great move.
Yeah, oh, good.
So what's the next, are we still looking at legal issues here yet?
I don't think we're looking at any legal issues at all, and the conversations that we had on Friday, you know, I'm encouraged that we still have a group that wants to try and take this thing forward and make it successful. I think the only questions that we have, that I have from the city standpoint, is not falling into any of the issues that the auditors have raised and that type of stuff, and making sure that it's cleanly one side or the other, or in the case if we're supporting it, we're sponsoring it, we're hosting it, that we know what all that means and we go into that with eyes open. You know, I don't think any of us need to rehash where things have been and all of that stuff. I think we've got a legitimate request coming through from an organization in the city to try and do some stuff and help promote the downtown and help promote those type of activities. So I think we just need to be able to settle on those things that we're willing to assist with and/or define the things that we want to make sure that
And
they
this
do.
will all be brought out in a contractual type, for what they're responsible for, what we're responsible for.
I don't even know if we need to get to the point of a contract though, because at this point, other than the question on the mailings or that type of stuff, pretty much they're like any other community organization that requests to use one of the parks, one of our facilities, our canopies, that type of stuff, that today, if somebody else were requested, we handle it at a staff level.
I just
So-
know that was one of those
Oh,
topics.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Contracts.
I know.
Well, I still think it would probably be a good idea to have some of these things in writing.
But yeah, I think if there's anything to do with money, I think.
Well,
we
a
have to
permit
do
then,
contracts.
even a permit.
Yeah, whatever you wanna
would
call it.
allow it
Agreement,
spelled out.
My
Absolutely.
question is, what I would like to see happen in this is that I don't think we have fully exhausted the discussion on the hotel motel things. And I don't think we
We
have.
can't.
Huh?
We can't tonight.
Not tonight.
We can't.
And I don't
Next
think
couple
we've
of weeks.
exhausted the discussion on the PEG education funds. If any